Hi, everyone. We'll be right with you.
Sorry, Facebook's working so slow.
So I'm going to go ahead and start. Welcome to Coffee and Tea. You and me. There we go. You and me. So welcome. Come on in, have a seat, get some coffee, grab some tea. Whoo! So Nicole, how was your week this week?
For all intents and purposes, it was out that I'm going back to work full-time on Monday, which is, it's emotional. I was a stay-at-home mom before, and the last 2 months have been wonderful. Being able to stay home with the kids and have a lot of time together, even though I'm working from home and still working on everything else. So I'm a little sad I have to go back, and I love what I do, but I can't wait to be doing it on my terms and on my time. So yeah. How about you? How's your week been?
Oh my gosh, my week has been an emotional roller coaster. And you've seen those roller coasters that go woo and looped around, and then you come back around and you think it's going to stop. No, it just keeps going. So the week has been interesting, starting off with our last segment of Coffee Tea, You and Me. I had, you get texts or you get those messages for people to friend you on Facebook, and then you're like, especially if it's from a guy, I get like, do I say yes? Do I say no? And something in my spirit said to go ahead and friend this person. The response back was, hey, cuz. I'm like, what? It was, hey, cuz, I know your Aunt Melinda. And I'm like, I don't have an Aunt Melinda. Or my right? And well, I know your sister Shellie. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? You know my who? So then started the conversation with Chandra. And so
sorry about that. I didn't know you didn't know.
Yeah. And you've known for how long now?
I've been in contact when I went to see Aunt Shirley and went to visit Aunt Shirley. I was in the space of, you okay over there? Pat on the back, arms up. Arms up.
Somebody help me.
I was in the space of just not knowing where I belonged or where I came from. And that was something that was big in my marriage when I was married. It was because I didn't have a sense of belonging and I didn't know where my lineage was from. It was so hard for me. And then once I met Aunt Shirley, it was like being home. And then she asked if I was connected to Chandra, and I was like, who? And she's like, your cousin. I'm like, who? And once I got connected with Chandra, so I mean, we're talking like a year or two ago already. And it was just like an instant connection and bond and explosion of all types of family lineage all at once. And I'm still finding out stuff about our family. I mean, Chandra's gone back how many, 200 years?
200 years, yeah. Well, it's interesting because as we think about family lineage, and a lot of my clients are like, well, I want to know what planet I came from, or I want to know where I came from. And then there's clients where I don't care where I came from. I just want this to be cleared out of my life, or I want this healed or balanced in this area. And one of the things I've learned in my journey is knowing your family history, how important that is. And knowing, because initially when I heard about that, it's like, really, what's the big deal? So for those of you who don't know, my father left when I was about 4 or 5 years old. I didn't meet him again till my mid-30s. And so just to make the long story short, when I met him, it was like looking in the mirror. I'm like, oh, there I am, because I look nothing like my mother. absolutely zero, nothing. My mom's big boobs and no hips. And my dad's side of the family, when I met the women, they were shaped like I was. And I felt like, so I totally get what you're saying, Nicole. On a physical level, I finally felt like I was home for the first time. It's like, oh, there's my people.
Yeah. Chandri had, he had posted some pictures on the family site, and I was like, there's my high cheekbones. I see them now. And there's something about knowing where you come from that brings a great peace.
Yeah.
And understanding.
Yeah.
So,
and there's something about, there's the knowing and then the feeling of belonging, like I know I belong somewhere, and you have gifts and you have talents and different things that drive you to do what you do. And sometimes like, well, where did all this come from? Did it just like magically show up and this is how I appeared? And what has been cool is to go through some of what Chandri has written, because he is a journalist. And what else does he do? He's a journalist, and what else?
Hi, Marcia. He's the ancestor whisperer, for one. And yes, that is the official term. And he is an author, he is an editor, and he's also just launched his business. Oh, son of a biscuit, he's going to be upset. And he's just launched it. I forgot what it's called, but I'll post it later. I love you, Chandri. But yeah, so he is a man of many talents and wisdom.
Yeah. So, it's been interesting to, when we're looking at, because initially we were going to talk about And Justice for All. Folks, I'm just saying, I've had to read chapters and sentences 5 or 6 times and just be with the information. And for me, it's kind of like, it's learning about yourself in a new way for the very first time. It's like learning about our country for the very first time. I have one of my clients, I have many clients that are teachers. And so we were talking, she was a history teacher, still is. And she says, Shellie, the history books today are so different than the history books when we were back in school. There's things they left out and they put in different stuff. And she said the knowledge that is there, they're not teaching what I'm going to say is what the truth was and what really, really happened. So it's been really great being in the exploration of my own family history in the middle of us beginning to go through this book, because it's not just about money. No,
it's about history and knowledge and understanding where you come from. And we were going to go through the first 2 chapters. However, we got a little sidetracked, and then some family history got into there. And then there's so much information just in the opening 4 pages.
Yeah.
We can honestly probably spend a solid year breaking down this book.
Yeah. Well, and that doesn't include the words we have to look up so we understand what it is we're talking about.
I got to chapter 2 and I'm like, you don't realize, okay, so you think you're smart until you connect with someone smarter and you're like, what is that word? What does that even mean? And I'm like, well, why didn't you say that in the first place? But I mean, it takes me back to when I was little and you're like, look it up.
And guess what? You know how to do that.
Yeah. So I know where to go. Thankfully, I have Google Dictionary now and I don't have to get the actual thick dictionary.
But so do you want to start with the book, or you want to go into the family history first, or where do you want to go?
Let's start with On Justice, because I think that will take us directly where we need to
go within the framework. Yeah. Okay, let's do that. So we're going to switch off reading, but then, we're going to talk about things. So those of you who are listening in, please give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, say, hey, let us know you're listening.
We can't see the thumbs up, so put a chat.
So we want your questions. We want your feedback, because this has been so great information to go through, and having a solid foundation in life, in whether it be money and knowing your family, where you come from and all of those types of things, it can be very, very empowering. And that's what I have found, especially this last week, going through some of the history things that Chandra has posted up for the family. It's knowing where you come from can bring so much freedom and empowerment. It's the things you don't know that I think keep you stuck and not being able to move forward.
Nancy said the volume's extra loud.
You can hear us. Is it me or Nicole?
It's probably me, and that's okay.
Okay.
Fluctuate the volume.
So I'm reading from Cicero. It's on justice. Justice is the crowning glory of the virtues. Justice consists in doing no injury to men. And everything like we're reading is based on how the Constitution was actually originally designed. Justice is a set and constant purpose which gives every man his due. Both, okay. So, Nicole, what do you have to say about that?
So for me, what really sticks out for me is the justice consists in doing no injury to men.
Mm-hmm.
I am very weak when it comes to watching someone be harmed, whether it be emotionally, mentally, or physically.
Mm-hmm.
Injustice is difficult for me to swallow.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that you're weak. Yeah, I would say you're sensitive to it. So it really bothers you.
It bothers me on a level it probably doesn't bother most people. Most people will just be like, eh. Or, there's now uproars about specific people being injured or harmed in different ways, shapes, and forms. But where is that fight for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that fight for, different cultures? Where's that fight for different races? Where's that fight for the individuals on the street? You can't have justice for one without justice for all. And that is a heart problem. That is not, so that's where I go with it.
So it's a heart problem, not a what? So what's the part?
I think individuals pick and choose what they want to stand for. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine, because we all have our own mindsets and our own belief systems. But I think what people lose sight of is it doesn't matter what your belief systems are. What matters is where your heart is at. And if you're going to say that I believe this because this is truth, then you have to act that. Which is why I don't pick one thing over another. I believe there's truth in everything, and I'm open-minded to everything, because I think everyone should be treated the exact same with love and content.
Well, then that begs the question of, is your heart? Is
my heart? My heart's not up here, although it could be sometimes.
Is your heart and your mind congruent? And the Bible talks about from the heart the man speaks. And so if your heart and your mind is not congruent, then there's going to constantly be that conflict, that inner conflict within oneself, and it'll show up out in the world also.
Well, and in various religions and various beliefs, it is that way. And it's not just Christianity. It's not just, again, I believe that many religions have it right, but none of them have it perfect. And it's about, if you look at the word love through all religions, that is the most spoken word, period. I mean, I believe in the Bible, it's 462 times or somewhere in that vicinity, the word love comes up above anything else. Mm-hmm. And that's prevalent in almost everywhere, which is why I don't claim a religion. I just claim love. If you're a loving person, I will love you back. Period.
All you need is love.
So yeah, that's what comes up. What comes up for you?
Well, what comes up for me is the way the government is. I'm comparing how justice is now versus how it was originally written. And looking at my life and things that I have actually been through that were situations treated unjustly or unfairly found, and which has had a huge impact on my life. And then it says, justice consists in doing no injury to men. And I was watching this feed on Facebook where there was a police officer talking about how some of the officers are being overly aggressive with people who are out on the streets. And I've actually been through that myself. So I don't know. I guess that's really all I have to say about that, is that justice isn't justice out of kindness anymore.
Yeah.
It's justice has become justice out of
fear,
bullying,
ignorance,
somebody higher than that person wanting the power to do whatever they feel they want, versus is it really for we the people anymore? So that's what's there for me. You want to go ahead and read the next section?
Do you want to go into first commercial?
Is it that time already?
It's that time.
Okay. Wow, time just flies. Okay. So you're going first, right?
Yeah.
And here you go.
There we go. All right. So I've been talking about this for a few weeks now. We have the super app, Life app, and I love this thing, not only because I get to save money, but because I get to make money. And it's amazing. Instead of waking up and going on social media, I'll wake up and I'll listen to Rascal Radio, or I'll put on the financial fitness program, or spend time in something productive for my brain instead of wasting brain cells. Again, you get to earn money and make money. And the premise is have fun, make money, and make a difference, because by doing this, you're also giving back to others and helping educate others. With this app right now, we're going through the number 47 financial fitness program with Orrin Woodward and Chris Brady, which led Shellie and I to order this book. And I actually ordered my book through the app, so I gave myself money back. So yes, that led us to the premise of this book, because we're learning so much on the financial fitness program and how to get yourself out of debt and how to get yourself out of financial trouble, as you will. But with that, Orrin and Chris have so much great information. It just made sense to grab the book so we can talk about the book. And again, Shellie and I had intended on doing the first 2 chapters, but then we got so involved in the first 4 pages and our family lineage, and it just took a whole different turn. So you're just going to have to wing it with us.
And there you have it, folks.
There you have it. So going into the second part of the poem, it says, the foundations of justice are that no one should suffer wrong, then that the public good be promoted. Justice must be observed even to the lowest. Justice extorts no reward, no kind of price. She is sought for her own sake. What sticks out for me the most in this is that justice must be observed even to the lowest. And I'm going to try not to lose it right now, because I did when we went over this. There is no... I don't know how my heart and my brain are wired, but for me, I don't know if it's in my subconscious. I don't know if I was taught this. I don't know if it's just because I don't like people being treated unfairly.
Well, I will say some of it is how I raised you too, because we've always, even when you were little, would be in the community and doing things and contributing in some way.
Okay. So there are parts of my childhood I don't remember, so I don't know. I don't recall. I just know I love people. But for me, I I have the mindset of I will treat the individual experiencing homelessness with the very same respect I would treat the president. I don't know about this president, but I would treat the president or the CEO or whoever I come across, because the bottom line is you don't know what somebody's working on. You don't know what somebody's going through in their lives. You don't know where that person's been. Tyler Perry was homeless in his car for many years before he became the multi-bajillionaire that he is today, with connections with Oprah, and I mean, they do stuff together. And then you have Steve Harvey, one of the best comedians known out there, who was living out of his car for 2 years, who got a call. He had $10 in his pocket, didn't know if he could get to the other side of town, made it. And that was the moment where he had his big breakthrough. And I mean, you know, we can go on and on and on about people who have experienced homelessness and have made it to be somebody. So you never know what somebody's working on. You never know what they're going through. You don't know what their struggles have been. So, and there's been so many comments that I have seen on other people's pages, and it brings me to tears, and I don't say I sometimes hesitate.
Excuse me.
It's infuriating to see the lack of compassion that people have for somebody else, because their mentality that somebody who's experiencing homelessness has got to be on drugs, or has got to be a prostitute, or has got to be doing something wrong, or this or that. Hell, I was experiencing homelessness 4 years ago when you know, I left my ex-husband with 3 kids. Like, I was categorically, thankfully I had friends, but you know, it's just mind-blowing. You never know what someone's going through. So to treat somebody with disrespect because they're having a hard time, how about have some compassion and help them?
So I'm going to move along and say, you know, let's talk about our family lineage for a little bit, because yes, we look at justice extorts no reward, no kind of price. She is sought for her own sake. And just as I was looking through the family lineage, and we have people in our family lineage that were, they were pioneers in their own time. I don't remember what year it was, but there was part of the family that would have been considered the Martin Luther King of the Martin Luther King days way back when. And
so that's 1866
is that this picture here?
Yeah, 1866 to 1945, Elias Kemp Morris and the family. And what is remarkable, this is Elias here. What is remarkable is he went from slavery to being an entrepreneur to all within a year. Within a year, he had become active in the Republican Party and local Baptist churches. By 1979, had organized the Baptist churches within 4 different counties. And, you know, we end here with some of his quotes. Morris argued for the need of the Black church to tend to the material as well as the spiritual realm of its congregants' lives, and education meant nothing. He argued if there were no professions open to the newly educated, the solution of the so-called race problem, he wrote, will depend in a large measure upon what we prove able to do for ourselves. I'm going to read that one again because that's powerful.
Well, okay, do that. And then go over the 4 blue sections, because like the thing that really spoke to me was the National Baptist Convention, entrepreneurship, education, and faith. And what it speaks to also is dare to be a Daniel. And those of you who don't know about Daniel and Lion's Den, then that'd be a great story to read. Dare to stand alone. Dare to have a purpose firm. Dare to make it known. And there's so many of us who either have lost our voices or don't use our voices, or feel like, given what's going on these days, we are afraid to use our voice or stand out alone because of fear of what may happen, being either put in jail or getting a ticket or disappearing, because there have been people who have been disappearing. So who stand out and use their voice. So, I look at, as our lineage, that people stood up and used their voice in spite of, when you think of the time of what was going on back then, the fearlessness that took for that to happen.
The 1800s, he went from being a slave to, within a year, entrepreneurship, being a part of the Republican Party, opening 4 churches in 4 different counties. It's amazing to see where our people have come from and to understand a part of why I am the way I am. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you have the last part of the poem.
Well, this is my grandma. This is my dad's mom.
The little girl.
The little girl, Ruth. Now, I'm just going to share, and I think it's kind of funny. But when I met her, she had a hard time walking. She had diabetes. And I knew her for her bunions, because she had shoes where her bunions stuck out. I thought she died of bunions.
Wait, you met Grandma Ruth?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So just as a little girl, that's what I thought. I heard she had passed away, and I'm like, oh, she passed away from those things on her feet. A child's perspective, okay?
Wait, when did you meet Grandma Ruth?
I was really little. I probably was about 4.
And you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
there are certain things that just really stand out. That was one of them. I know it's kind of weird. But yes, I actually met her. So, yeah. And then the last 3 here, let's see, I'll take it. Justice does not descend from its pinnacle. Extreme justice is extreme injustice. When you take anything out of balance and you're taking it to the extreme, things never really, it takes it out of balance. And in the Native American ways, they talk about living in balance, honoring Mother Earth, Father Sky, those types of things. Our lives are endangered by plots or violence, and every method of protecting ourselves is morally right. So in the midst of whatever's going on in the world, you have the right. It is our right to protect ourselves. The Constitution was written for us to have our rights, to protect our rights. And if you look at how things are now into government standards and what they have going on, it's, the quarantine and not being able to do things. And yes, I believe there's something about being responsible for our lives and the lives around us. But then it's like, okay, when is it taken to an extreme? So, what are your thoughts, Nicole?
I'm going to hold my thought on the last thought.
Okay, then I'm going to take a commercial break.
Okay.
Commercial
away.
Stay tuned. So, my practice here is Alder Healing Center, and we provide holistic health for the body, the mind, and the spirit, and offer a lot of meditations. Like Friday night is meditation night. That's from 7 to 7:30. And we're always working on a variety of different things. Right now, we're working up through the chakras, starting at the root. This last Friday was sacral. All my work you can find on YouTube, and then also on Facebook. And then we see clients virtually right now, since we're not able to be open during this quarantine time, which has been really great. So we've been able to work with people with Reiki or energy per ministry, and even with nutritional support. So reach out to us, give us a call. And I do have a class coming up soon. So
what's that about?
I have it set for May 30th. I may push it back about a week just because there's been so much going on this week. It's called Basic Energy 101. And it's good for people who have had experiences with energy work. Maybe someone has no experience, but yet they may see a shadow go by, or they may hear things, or they may sense things or feel things, and they don't know what it is they're sensing or feeling.
Just don't tell the psych ward, okay?
What?
I said, just don't tell the psych ward, okay?
And so a lot of times people need to understand that just because you can't see it with your physical eyes doesn't mean it's not happening and that it doesn't exist. So this course actually helps to elevate your spiritual awareness, and it helps to elevate your senses, what you can see, what you can hear, and so you're hearing and seeing more clearly, so you can create clear boundaries. A lot of the things that people come in, it's like, I just feel like I keep taking on other people's stuff. So we work on creating boundaries and learning how to clear and heal what those waters are that keeps you from having those clear boundaries. So it's a really great program. It's a 4-week course, and everyone that takes it is like, I want to take it again because I got so much out of it. And so I'm really excited that we're actually going to be doing it virtually for the first time.
Sweet.
So right now the date's May 30th, and it may change, but that is coming soon within the next few weeks.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. Back to you.
Back to me. Oh boy. Okay. Where were we?
So it's 3:32.
Oh, that went by so fast.
I know.
MIC. See you real soon. KEY. Why? Because we love you. MOUC.
Oh dear.
You can tell the generation I was raised on. Okay, so
what are the last words you want to leave people with?
That we got through the first page. That's not even a page. Wow. I guess for all intents and purposes, today's topic would be I would say learn your history, not just the history of the government, not the history that they teach us in school, the actual history. If you're not a reader or you have a difficult time comprehending at times, like I'm typically a well reader, but I'm struggling with comprehension of this book a little bit. So, I go back and reread, but take the time to read or listen to audiobooks, or, even invest in the super app so you can just hear the podcast. It's just like a subscription like Netflix and Hulu. It just so you can have it playing and pick up tidbits while you're doing housework or yard work or what have you, and learn where you come from. I didn't feel at peace until I knew where I came from.
Yeah. It's like it completes a certain piece of you that's been missing for.
And
it's kind of like missing your arm, and your
and
arm is there and now you've got it to use.
yeah, and it's nice to be able to reach out to family members, even though I've met them virtually, but you feel home when you find your people because you're with your people. Yeah. So I would encourage everybody to learn where you come from, not only here as the states were put together and our country was put together, but also your lineage, because I think it's important to understand why you are the way you are and what falls down. I didn't even have a clue that I came from speakers and entrepreneurs and writers. That falls right in alignment with exactly what I'm doing.
What we're both doing.
Yeah. So I'm like, holy crap. Like, wow, this is like the generational circles. There's really a generational circle, 200 years in the making. So yeah. And just having compassion for others, especially in these times, because there's a lot going on and everyone just needs each other right now. We're all weaved and wound in family in one way, shape, or form. So that's my message.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for your comments. Nancy, thank you for being with us. Marsha.
And everyone else who's been tuned in that we can't see right now.
Right. Because unless you leave us a comment, we really can't see that you're here. So thank you, everyone. Have a blessed week, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. À
Mwah.
bientôt.